Welcome back, troglodytes, to Would You Rock or Not? Hey, we're gonna kinda talk about robot guitars today. People ask me about these things all the time, and what I always say is the best robot is the stripped apart robot that has traditional parts back in it. And I've always said that the Darkfire would be my first choice to do that to. So a quick overview of the Darkfire. I bought one of these like 3 or 4 years ago. I forget how long it was. And this guitar made my wife ban me from ever buying another robot guitar because this instrument made me so visibly upset. I mean, I'm a pretty nice, mild-mannered guy. Can you imagine me cussing out of frustration out of one of these robots? Yes, that happened. So she said, no more robot guitars. Personally, I dig the look of the Darkfire. I think out of the whole robot series, like the core super robots, I guess we can call them now, I thought this was the most attractive of them. It has a nice flame maple top. You kind of have a cool vibe going on with your pickup covers. You've got the ebony fretboard. Hey, and you even have a decent looking headstock with the flower pot inlay, which is more akin to like an L5. Now, the headstock also does look a little bit goofy without binding, but it just has a unique vibe to it. Pair that gloss top with a nice faded finish on the back so you can still feel the wood grain. These things were great players, well, if you can get them to function right. And they had a pretty cool case. But I always thought this would be a cool guitar to strip and just put regular parts in. Now, ones that actually work properly, people are usually asking like $2,000 for them, but sometimes you can get beaters like this one for around $1,000, and that's when I think it might be worth it. But the Darkfire is not today's episode. This is a model I had no idea existed until this listing showed up a month ago. It is a Darkfire, but without the robots. It's great. I love it. Apparently this was a Japan run model only, and that's why most people haven't heard of it. It's booked as the Les Paul Traditional Special with the code name London Fog. It's kind of a yellowish, greenish, salmon-ish color, depending on the example. I think this is probably one of the more attractive ones I've seen. But then again, it could just be, the first one you see is what you expect them all to be. And this was definitely the first one I saw. So you don't have the weird pickup covers on this one. You wouldn't necessarily have that if you swap the pickups anyways. But you've got a traditional P90 in the neck and a Burstbucker Pro in the bridge. Now, if you don't know, if you rip out all the robot electronics, you're going to be left with a giant hole underneath your bridge that might be visible if you put a regular bridge on. So you wouldn't have that with this model. The headstock looks about the same as the Darkfire, but hey, look at those tuners. Traditional tuners, none of that robot stuff. I believe this photo really helps illustrate the kind of pinkish hue this guitar has. And it still has that sweet black binding. I love non-traditional colored binding. Because once you've seen cream binding once, sometimes it's nice to change it up with a black or brown. The back of the London Fog looks a little bit more finished. Like, it still seems like it's a satin finish, but you can't see the wood grain as much. They did leave the locking Neutrik jack, which I'm sure these things are awesome if you're a gigging musician, but a guy that's just, sitting at home, I think these are kind of a pain in the butt. Because what it does is when you put your lead in there, you cannot take it out. So if you step on your lead, it's not going to rip out of your guitar, you're just going to break your lead. But you've got to use this red tab, you push it in, and then it releases your cord. So overall, I think the London Fog is interesting. This is the first one I've seen come up for sale, and it looks like they're trying to get about the same price as like a mint condition Darkfire. I think I would probably personally just go for the whole torture of ripping a robot apart and putting electronics in, because this finish is kind of love it or leave it. But it is interesting to know that Gibson did create the guitar that I had in my mind. So now that we've learned a little bit about this instrument, let's go ahead and hear how either this one or a Darkfire sounds, whatever I can find. Alright, so despite looking all over YouTube and the internet, there is not a single quality recording of a Darkfire. So instead, I thought I'd try my hand at one of those interview, but everything is just a complete crap show memes.
Have you guys checked out the new Gibson Dark Fire guitar?
I'm checking it out right now.
It's actually on fire.
Can't hit a bad note on this guitar unless you're Paul Stanley from Kiss or something. A lot of the solos that you're hearing tonight are actually a bass player pre-programmed into the guitar. I think we should bring out the first bass player. Billy Ray Cyrus! This guitar is amazing! I know! This is the most amazing Just guitar! Just play the guitar, shut up. I am.
The only question left, would you rock a Les Paul London Fog Edition or not? Leave your answer down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video with a friend who you think would enjoy it, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care. Great, I finally talked about a robot guitar. Maybe people will leave me alone about that monstrosity Firebird X. Oh man, I feel sorry for anybody who owns one of those. It would just be